What is up, my dogs? It's your boy, Mike Mason. We're here for a really fun fireside chat. We have a really cool process to share, one that speaks to my heart as a beer drinker. And we've got a really great panel with us tonight. Let me not take any more time with myself here. The hype, just get y'all on with my friends, and then we'll talk some glass. Carrie is here on my left. Carrie Strope, my lovely co-host and life homie.
Hello, hello.
Tell them where you're at, what you're about.
Currently, I'm in the HBO office, the CEO office here. Been
Oh,
making lots of Valentines this week, but here with Mark, who's going to share his process for this really cool new recycled bottle technique he's got going on.
exactly. So yeah, the star of the show, the man of the hour, Marc Kornbluh.
Hey,
You were with us recently, so I think some of the homies out there have an idea. But I wanted to say again, like how impressed I am with your work. You have a voice that really speaks to these unique patterns and processes. You're always finding an interesting take on stuff, and this thing is no different. Dude, could you tell the
hey,
homies
thank
just
you.
a second about where you're at and how long you've been doing this? Give them a little introduction.
Cool. All right, yeah, I guess I've been on the torch for, I don't know, maybe almost 25, maybe 30 years,
Okay.
and got my friend of mine, Alan Goldfarb, is he's a classical Venetian glass blower, and years ago in Burlington, he invited me into his shop and handed me the blowpipe, and I blew my first bubble, and I kept hitting him up for bits and pieces because I had a little glass business, or I had an art business where I was using glass, and he finally said, "Get a torch, make your own little baubles." So
Okay. All right. I like that. I think a lot of us have that story where somebody was like, "Well, get a torch. Quit staring at me." Kind of thing. Um, and yeah, man. So in this case, we're going to be looking at you on a torch. We're using the lathe again. This is one of these things where you found the lathe to do the soft glass process. I think it's another one of these kind of crossover avenues you've been exploring. I'm really excited to share this, and I really appreciate you for taking the time to share this. And Carrie did the filming on this one. I did the chopping. Um, yeah, man. Well, without further ado, I think let's just pop into this glass party. And guys, just before we start this actual demo, these companies pitch in every month and help make it possible. In this case, this was something Carrie had the opportunity to film, but she still took time out of her day to do it. I took the time to edit it. Mostly, we're traveling, and all of these companies pitch in and make it possible. And it's kind of this public broadcasting approach almost, and allows us to kind of traverse this glassy world and share with you guys all of the highlights and kind of do it with so many companies that have pitched in and made it a real community thing, both in terms of who we do it for and in terms of who is supporting and making it possible. And all these are companies and events in our industry that it's just been a real pleasure to work with. Mark, who's here with us tonight, is the owner of High Volume Oxygen, if you're not familiar, and they're one of the companies that have been helping us execute this vision for years now, and it's so great to be here to share the glass work and all that. And I don't know, it's kind of like it's a whole party for you, Mark. You pitch in to make it possible, and now we get to share something really cool from you. It's just a real honor. And here we are. This is the High Volume Oxygen lab, or the headquarters, whatever you want. Do you guys have a name for it?
yeah, test studio,
The
Lincoln
test
Hot Glass,
studio.
yeah.
Lincoln
Okay.
Hot Glass. Yeah,
That's true. I mean, it's not like I didn't work there for quite some time. I know what it's called, but I don't know if you guys
yeah,
have like a name, an internal,
Yeah, right.
the
yeah. We
test
We need
miss
to
lab.
you.
I
come up
like
with
that.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
We miss you,
Anyways,
Mike.
oh, cheers. I miss you guys too. Um. Okay, so we're sealing up to this beer bottle that you've chucked up in the lathe. I mean, everybody out there can kind of see what's happening. We don't do this like a 1920s radio show. But I was very curious about the blow tube. Is that soft glass or is it boro you're punnying up to soft
No,
glass and just
it's Boro.
It's
Yeah.
boro. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the breakthrough for me when I figured out that as long as I kept it hot, I could use boro and, without being able to access it from both sides, from the front and the back, I wouldn't be able to do it. So
Okay.
that's kind of key.
Yeah, it was fascinating. You had me like Googling. I was like, man, did he buy some like 96 COE blow tubes? What's going on here? Kind of thing. And yeah, I thought that was the first thing I wanted to ask. And that in and of itself, man, we talk about Lauren Stump on this channel a lot because he's a really important teacher for me. And he actually, when he makes soft glass marini, he'll use borosilicate punties. And it's the same thing. As long as it stays hot, it's not going to pop off. And when it does pop off, when you want it to, it's very clean. So
Yeah.
that's what it's making me think of here. Okay, another thing I wanted to ask you. The labels, do they just kind of bake off in the kiln? Do you really not have to worry about them? Does the glass end up kind of not really worrying about these labels
Yeah,
later?
the glass doesn't like the label. I've finally figured out how to get the labels off. And
Cleanly.
so it's
Okay.
better to pull the labels off.
Okay,
But
cool.
it's kind of fun. No matter how much heat and fire these things take, you could still read Budweiser on them.
Yeah.
It's like the aluminum sticks to the glass a little.
That's pretty
So,
cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I like it. Yeah, all this process is really neat. And it's like you're doing it on a lathe, but I feel like you've kind of done like the science now. Like I feel like I could punny a blow tube up to a beer bottle now, and like if I had a Bunsen or something, if I got that bad boy right, like put it in the kiln. I feel like we can make this happen on the torch as well. Not that I'd
Yeah.
want to be the guy making soft glass goblet shapes. That seems even more difficult than boro.
I want to see people do this. I want to see lots of beer bottle goblets pop out of this.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I've seen, like the beer bottle dragon type of thing is really popular, or a number of, but they're all kind of just predicated on getting that neck hot and stretching the neck and working the thing. You're doing the whole damn bottle.
Yeah.
Turn it into a sweet ass cup.
Well, I've often thought that wouldn't it be great if I could mess around with soft glass tubing, and this is it. This is soft glass tubing. So, this can become anything, this bottle.
Yeah.
There was one base that he was working on that almost looked like a bong.
Yeah. Yeah, Carrie said put a bowl in it.
That's the next step here, right?
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy to do.
Yeah. It really does seem, I'm not saying it's easy or anything. It's just if you've got Bunsen's on it and you can really keep it hot, it seems like it's quite workable. Maybe a little more workable than myself and others may have considered over the years. Because we just, like I said, we're just used to seeing homies making dragons out of the neck or whatever.
Yeah, you just have to mess around with it. And the thing is, that I'm not afraid to break glass. Like that's. I broke a lot of these bottles trying to figure out where the Bunsen, where the heat goes, and how to do it, and what not to do, and
At least this time it was free materials.
That's it. It's I figure what difference does it make if I break 5 bottles? But anyway, it's really a lot more forgiving than you would imagine. But it's pretty unforgiving if the Bunsen slips away from the connection between the boro and the soft glass. I mean. You put it back on there and the bottle's going to pop right off. So you just got to make sure everything's in place.
Seems like a really good exercise in heat management.
Yeah.
Oh, well said. So yeah, I saved a couple of... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say I like to thin the immediate sort of lip of the soft glass. So I pull it back a little bit, and that's just so even if it breaks off, it's not going to break the bottle. So if these connections are on thin glass, then they can break and they're not going to affect the piece.
Have you found any brands that work better than others?
Yeah, so far I've got a Sam Adams. I've got a bunch of Budweiser. Budweiser makes a funky it looks like kind of a cheap bottle. Some of them are flat on one side. It
Oh,
looks like
really?
some of the microbrew or some of the better companies use better bottles.
Okay. Got
But there's
those.
something about the classic Bud bottle, and it still has the Anheuser-Busch emblems on them,
Right, the stamp. Yeah.
little stamp, and so that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really neat to see how that's preserved in the cup. That is
Yeah, and I would fume them also sometimes just to really, make them make them stand out, give them more contrast.
nice.
More irony.
Yeah, plus there's a lot of DVIT that I haven't learned to deal with just yet. I'm getting a little better, and
Okay.
the little fume over the DVIT, trying to hide my problems.
Sure, sure. I mean, that's half the battle sometimes.
That's right.
Now, I wanted to ask you, I mentioned it when we were just chatting before we actually started narrating. There it is in your hand. It's just up there in the corner and it was visible before. There it is, a good shot. It looks like a blood pressure pump or something almost. Could you tell us a little about what you're using that for?
Yeah, I quit using a blowpipe on the lathe a while back, and I just use a little pump, little hand pump, exactly what you're talking about, like a blood pressure pump.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
And
nice.
yeah, I mean it took a little time to get used to it, but I would say if people can get used to it, it's a good idea. There've been so many times when I've had a blowpipe in my mouth and I had like a bunch of frit in a tube
Mhm.
just smoking away, and
Oh man,
and I
yeah.
realized that there was smoke going into my mouth, and it's like I don't really want that connection between my body and what's going on inside those hot spaces. So,
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
but it's also just handy. I mean, I don't know that you can do it all that well without the lathe. The lathe gives you a free hand.
Sure.
As soon as I get on the furnace on the bench, I've got to switch back to mouthpiece.
I gotcha. Yeah, it reminds me of Jason Gordon, live 3315, I believe is his Instagram. He has publicized, it's on YouTube actually as well. He calls it the vac stacker, and it's a pedal design, but the pump that he uses, you can hook up to either side, so you can get it on the exhaust or you can plug into the intake. So it
Uh,
can actually be used to inflate with a foot pedal. So you're just like, bzz, 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 and then you can send air in instead of pulling air out, which I haven't really employed it much, but that's what it made me think of.
well, I think the whole thing is control, and I think that whether you're using your mouth for subtle control or your hand, I wonder if I'd have as much control with a foot pedal because then there's pressurization, and it's like I think I need, there's something about this that can almost replace, the process of mouth blowing. So
So
I
you
like it.
you mean
Okay.
like you can feel it with your hand?
Yeah, you've got some resistance and everything.
yeah, you can feel it, and it's subtle. Sometimes sometimes you're just pumping really, a tiny bit. Sometimes you're squeezing hard.
Okay.
So I think that it works. And I got like a bag of 10 of them from, I think it was Alibaba or somewhere, and like $1 a piece.
Okay.
So it's good. I burned up a few.
Right? Telling you, man. You found it out here first, folks. Firekiss is going to be selling them for $35 in a year. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
I mean,
playing.
I won't.
He's a
I
good
won't.
dude.
I saw some guys doing it in soft glass. I think it came out of COVID, so
Oh,
I didn't
interesting.
totally come up with the idea. I just sort of
Sure.
incorporated it into the lathe. But I saw some guys. I saw some footage of guys using it instead of sharing a blowpipe in a in a
Sure.
studio in a furnace or in an art glass studio.
Very good. I think Corning didn't they have like a motorized foot pedal type of thing? Isn't it?
Yeah,
That sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
right.
Yeah, I
I
want
know.
to
I was
say I
like,
saw something on
yeah,
one of Chrysler streams too, but I'm not sure.
right. When they did that, it also made me think of Jason Gordon's
Okay.
foot pedal.
well,
Yeah.
I'll bet Jason's device works well. I just haven't
Oh
tried
yeah.
it. I'm thinking,
Yeah, yeah. No,
you
no.
know, it sounds like he's it's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, no doubt. But I don't think it has the kind of analog sensitivity or whatever you want to call it that you're talking about. But for what it is, it's a great pedal, and it's what I use for all of my encasements. I got when he made them. Now he just shared the plans on YouTube. I don't think you could convince him to make you one. He's just like, nope, not making foot pedals, dogs. But there was a time when he did, and he actually built some of them into a little tiny Pelican case, and he called them the 007 back stackers, and that's what I have. So I've
seen yours, yeah.
Right. Isn't that cute? Yeah. So that's Jason
cool.
Gordon's. Yeah, it's a fun design, and like I said, it's got access to the exhaust as well, so you can inflate or pull. All right,
yeah,
now
I mean, just for vacuum, it'd be great to have.
Yeah. Now here you're going in on this edge, and you're gonna kind of. Is it like pushing a Maria, or you're blowing it out?
Yeah,
like
I'm blowing it out a little bit, and I'm pushing a Maria. And the reason is this is how I cut off the bottom of the bottle, as you'll see later in the video. So that Maria, I'm just thinning that section.
Okay. Yeah, this is all too cool.
Right there. That's what he was saying.
I got you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we lost some of the audio. And I edited this pretty fast. I was like, I'm not taking any notes. We're just going through it. We're getting this done. Because I heard Mark was ready to do it, and I was like, all right, this sounds great. I'm not going to make my man wait. Let's push through this. So it's great we can be here and have this time together. I love it.
This is great.
I love watching the label just kind of flake off in the Bunsen flame, It's not doing it right this second. There goes a little bit, yeah.
He was calling this the ventilation test, right?
Okay,
yeah, I was hoping people were going to look at that and say, man, he's got good ventilation. That's definitely a badge of honor towards the car.
Well, we did
Instead
just
of
see
like,
some
shit, that guy's killing himself. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, dude, you did a really nice job setting that area up. Like, I remember you put in a giant hood, and that was, you did a really nice job there. The whole studio there is gorgeous and just super proper, and I've been lucky to since I moved out of that house that my family owned, and that's been like, now I've been a renter, so it's like, and you find out what it's like in different places. Well, I had a home studio for a few months, but I'll be there again. I've been in town a good couple of times now, and like I think after the whole melt trip and after we were working on Carrie's mosaic, I think we weren't sure if we had COVID or something. We were both not feeling well.
It was a little burnout too. That was a long month.
Yeah, by the time we got the test results back, it wasn't like a good time. And then I think another time you were out of town when I happened to be in town. Is that right, Carrie?
We'll connect.
I'd love to, man.
COVID's just been screwing everything up,
Yeah. It is what it is. We're very close, and we're finding ridiculously cheap flights between Lincoln and Colorado Springs. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's great.
This is a tricky part. You've got to separate the two sections completely.
Okay,
and so this is where you've got to have a plug on the tube on the tailstock side.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to remove the plug at this point, and otherwise you're going to get vacuum in there, and it's going to suck that. So anyway, you don't see me do it, but I pull the tube out, and then what I'll do is I'll blow a little bit, or I'll pump a little bit to get that piece, the what's going to be the foot and the stem, to touch the hot glass on the cup side, and then reestablish that connection, try to get it nice and thick.
Yeah, I saw that, like where you kind of drew it out and then brought it back together to kind of kind of really thicken that connection up. And
yeah, it's funny, I've got a couple that I poured water in them, and it landed on my lap, in the beginning, because I thought I'd closed that connection, but I hadn't. So if anybody wants a trick cup, let me know. I thought I'd give it to the brewery down the way and say, hey, every bar needs a trick cup.
The bottomless glass. It's true. Yeah. That's a great idea.
The cup that spills on the patron, just for kicks. Here, hold this.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. So yeah, you really are making that, like sealing that off and everything, almost like you would a traditional type of goblet where you're all working off of like two hollow pieces, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one hollow piece, but then you neck it. You know what I mean? Like it's like a traditional lesson that Cesare teaches in his classes. You know, like where you make that one little bowl, you know, with the foot because it's all just one tube, and you puff both sides out and neck them. Anyways,
Yeah. So now I'm going to do another Maria right above the Anheuser-Busch emblems. And that's, that's for just sort of a consistent look.
I know it
Little
looks
balance.
great. Yeah. In a great way, it reminds me of what Anthony Charles Frit Glass is doing. You know, he makes those really gorgeous cups in the lathe, you know, and they've got these like really defined Marias and all that. And like, this is very, very different, but at the same way, the way you're like framing the shape of the cup and such, like, there's something about that reminds me of that and getting these nice clean pushes. And
Yeah, I
so,
like his work. I think
yeah, I like,
he
yeah,
makes, and I'm a connoisseur of glasses, so
You know
nice.
who else this reminded me of when I saw the pictures that you posted, Mark? Because of the glass that I have, and it's the same color as Brian Raskin at Mirador Glass. I have a little Lebowski cup, right? And
yeah,
that's got a couple Marias pushed in it, but it's a little bit bigger.
yeah. Carrie saw me try to do a glass hobnail design on one of these, and I learned that I have to keep things hotter, pretty much.
Like little dots and patterns
Yeah, I
around it.
slowed the
Okay.
lathe down, and at the speed I was going, I was just landing those dots, and it was looking pretty good. I was able to get them
Okay.
on there well, but I really, it's an interesting process because what I'm not doing much is I'm not melting the whole cup at one time. So you've got glass in two different states. You've got these Marias got really hot and cooled back down again, but you notice I don't heat the whole thing up at once, and that might be tricky. I think that's the thing about putting a hobnail design on it is I really should heat the whole thing up and keep it at a more molten state as I do it. But there's only so much you can do. It's tricky because it's like working with thin soft glass tubing. So
Sure.
I would say this is the trickiest part is blowing out the foot.
Yeah. This was really cool to see. So you neck that down and kind of prepare to where you're going to be making your cut, but not so much that you can't blow it out and make that nice squashed kind of bubble.
Well, I don't need to make a cut on that second piece because I've made my seal between the cup. So really, I just neck that down.
Okay.
It's open; those two pieces are open to each other. But I'm going to superheat that and try to get that nice and consistent before I blow it out. And also, the big thing with soft glass is it's got a great memory. It remembers if there's a cool spot.
Oh, yeah.
So you touch it with the paddle, and it's going to remember that spot. So you've really got to work it for a long time, and in order to get a consistent bubble, work it even.
Right. It reminds me of something I talk about for Boro. It's that buh. There's that concept that I picked up from Mattis Skookie, who adapted it from Boyd Suguki, who is a amazing furnace worker. And but it's this concept of he's using the furnace to repeatedly flash the piece, as opposed to less flashes and then making a big move. He's using repeated flashes at specific amounts and angles and such, so that the heat is distributed very evenly in the piece, and it allows him to achieve all of these really clean shapes. And Matt does
Yeah.
the same thing in Boro with repeated heating instead of just one long kind of and then go for it. He'll take a few times to heat that same segment up and kind of come out, let that heat homogenize,
Yeah.
and then go back. And it seems like you really need to do that here with the beer bottle.
Yeah, I think I watched Balby work a lot in that Corning video and
Okay.
manage heat and viscosity. And you really got to, it's subtle stuff. You really got to watch it carefully. And in soft glass, you use the bench a lot to cool, a big flat stainless steel surface. And I used to just think people were rolling on that bench, but that bench is really, it's a way to manage so many of the things, you know, in soft glass are about what
Okay.
needs to be hot and what needs to be cool and stiff.
That's fascinating to think about. Yeah, I don't know enough about that world. Igor seems like a really fun one, man. Like people learn with him, and everybody wants to like open their cups upside down. And he's got a whole bunch of type. You know, he's got a very distinct style that you know. Once people learn with him, man, they really start working it into theirs.
Yeah, he's you know, I watched his work a lot. Like I learned so much from watching him work.
What's that thing down there in the corner on top of the relay box? No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that, but
All right.
I do believe that's our smart relay, isn't it?
Is it really?
That is, yeah. We've got
Mhm.
a new. We're testing a smart relay.
Mm.
It basically reports data on power
What?
back to the customer, so you can monitor your concentrators also. So if you've got a problem with a concentrator,
Hmm.
it'll alert you. I mean, this is for the Pro Series, you know,
Sure.
so that you know in veterinary clinics and so on, people can. You know, we see if they've got a problem before they do. And if they got power issues, which a lot of our customers, things will go wrong and we'll never know why. It's often just because they've got brownout conditions or power issues. And we're going to see that and say, okay, yeah, you've got intermittent power
Hmm.
outages.
Interesting.
And it also turns all the concentrators on in sync. You know, it's one at a time or in series.
Yeah, it like a trigger. It kicks them on. Like one gets a little bit, and then one kicks on a little bit later. Is that right?
Yeah,
Right,
it just
'cause the
goes one, two,
power.
three,
Perfect.
four,
Yeah.
five,
Yeah,
and
that makes so much
series. And this
sense.
way, yeah, you don't get any surges.
Really cool. Okay, now
So.
we're working the top. I was very curious what you were doing here first because you're gonna cut it afterwards. So like, why did it need to be cold worked before you cut it off?
It's very hard to get the blade on the rounded Maria.
Okay.
And it's also, I'm thinning it quite a bit. So the saw is not too powerful.
And it's
This
really
is
loud.
just something I'm testing out that somebody brought in for me to test out. But anyway,
Okay.
it seems to work really well to do it in two phases like this. Get it flat and then just sort of,
Okay.
it
So
almost fits right into the notch of this saw.
I
All
mean,
right.
he's got all these fancy tools. He has to use them, right?
What?
That's the real answer.
Sure. No. But I was curious about that because it's like, well, if we're gonna cut it after, but no, that makes a lot of sense. If this facilitates a better cut. So yeah,
Yeah, well, you
thin
see
that
that blade
material.
is it's kind of rounded. So you try
Okay.
to push that against a rounded Maria.
And
You
what is
know,
this type of saw called?
I think this is a Gemini.
Okay.
This
Forgetting the
one's a
brand name.
bandsaw. This one's a
A
bandsaw,
band.
and
That's what I was thinking.
yeah, and
Okay.
I don't remember it's an old one. It's really
It's not
old.
really. It's not so much a bandsaw because it doesn't have a. I mean, it looks like a bandsaw. You wouldn't know it unless you took it apart. But what it is it's almost a rasp, a diamond crusted rasp that goes up and down.
Oh, it just goes
Okay.
up
So
and
that
So the
little
down?
post goes up
blade,
and
yeah,
down. I
yeah,
got you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's it's not the greatest. I think it's probably really great for flat work,
Okay.
but it's cool. It's working for this.
If you were to buy something to just like off the shelf for this, would like a ring saw or something like that be ideal?
Yeah, I think a ring saw with a lot of
Okay.
clearance. So I think there's one called the Excelsior maybe
All right.
that's got a lot like like a 10-inch span, and that's what I need. And they're
All
about
right.
1,500, and I haven't gotten the nerve up to
Yeah.
tell Denny that I'm buying one. I think is really what it is.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, you only need to sell $1,500 worth of glasses. Get
That's
on
right. That's right. Place your orders, folks.
You only need to drink $200 worth of beer.
That's right.
I was playing.
Carrie was saying we should drink a bunch of beers and get them, get the bottles ready. I could make goblets. And I said, yeah, I don't think that's going to work
Right.
for me.
So now you're just working this edge.
Yeah, I like to keep a little bit of a lip. And
What grit are we using right now? Just still a
this is
rough one?
a 100 grit, and a
Okay.
100 grit is pretty aggressive,
Yeah.
but it won't chip the glass. Um, so if you use something that's too aggressive, you're going to have to work out all those chips. Now, this is a 360 grit cone for working the inside of a
Yeah.
cup. And this has saved me a lot of work for the bourbon glasses I've been doing,
Okay.
because it does a real good job. If you're going to do it, if you're working, with a straight section and you make a cut, you're going to have a sharp inside lip.
Yeah.
And it's not as important for these. And I will tell you, it works really well for really symmetrical pieces, but a lot of these beer glasses are not that symmetrical. They're not round. They've got kind of a flat side. So it's a little rough if you don't have a nice even cup that you're working.
Yeah. That
And
grinder
Mark,
looks like it'd probably get inside the neck of a bong pretty well too. Am I wrong?
I'm sure it would. Yeah,
right?
Okay. All
absolutely.
right. All right.
Mark said he got that at his Glassworks.
Oh yeah. What a great company.
Great company. And I talked to a woman there whose name I can't remember, but she really walked me through my options. And I really love what she sold me, which
Very
is this
good.
cone.
Yeah. And what grit have we moved to now on this
I went
giant?
straight from 100 to 220.
Okay.
And the thing about these epoxy pads, uh, they're really aggressive. They're much more aggressive than you would think for a grit that fine. And this is just an amazing wheel. This is a Steiner 24-inch, and so you can really get a lot of polish. You can get a lot of removal, even with a fine grit.
Yeah, and there's where you can even see the insignia still in there, all clean. The press, too cool.
Yeah, still there. You see how there's a little bit that Maria turned into, cut in half, turned into a lip.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. And what type of pad is this now? Is this the Syrian pad?
Yeah, that's a felt pad, and the way you want to use the felt pad is not too much water. I get it wet in the beginning, and then I turn the water off, and I'll turn it back on from time to time. Even a drip is sometimes too much,
Okay.
because you don't really want to. You don't want that cerium to disappear on you. You don't want it
All
to
right.
wash away. But the real tricky thing with this is you don't really want to put it flat on that pad, or it'll throw it throw it at the wall.
Right.
I've had many cups fly out of my hand and hit the wall. So you notice how I do the kind of the forward side, and then I'll turn it and I'll do the forward side again.
Okay.
So I'm trying not to catch that sharp lip. If I went flat, I'd run the risk of catching that lip.
Yeah, and then it wants to go spinning. I've had this
Well,
happen with millie chips and stuff too.
oh, it drives me crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
so many things that hit the wall.
Yeah. The setup of mine, it just goes like into the bottom or whatever, the catch. So I just have to take the whole top off, and shut down. And it's either way, it's not fun.
Yeah, I can't tell
Yeah.
you how many times I had to reach into that tire, fish
Yeah.
around, and find something. My scuffed up marble.
Yeah, man. I'm just picturing like the ghost of Anheuser-Busch, like behind you, like in Ghost, kind of guiding your hands.
Yeah, I hope he's happy.
Oh boy.
I like the juxtaposition of sort of this bud, this kind of rough thing, turned into
Hmm.
a Venetian goblet. I think there's something fun about,
Oh, there really
you know,
is. Yeah,
yeah.
no doubt.
I want to
Absolutely.
work on, some, flying buttresses, and do a lot more Venetian stuff
Okay.
to these. But I've got to master it a bit more.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I was wondering with those hobnails, do you have to have like a particular COE of rod that matches like the recycled glass they use for these? Like,
I was just using more beer glass. I just
oh, more beer glass. Okay.
broken sections of bottles, just throw them in the kiln and punty onto them.
I got you.
But yeah, I'll turn out some in the near future that have some more sort of decorative stems.
Yeah. Well, this is very cool. Getting to see this type of cold working. I know there's probably some cats out there who, I mean, dude, opening a cup is one of the hardest things. And like if you can give it a little cold working, like you can make so many amazing cups and save the ones that are a little weird. So I know this might be helpful for some cats to see out there and see exactly how you go about this.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's some designs that you know that they kind of benefit from that straight top.
Yeah, and here you get to
Um,
see all this different variety, and yeah, these Venetian style forms that you're achieving with these beer bottles, man. It's crazy. I've never seen anybody do go this far with these recycled bottles, man. I mean, if somebody else has done it, my bad. But as far as I can tell, man, you were the first person who had the volition to be like, "Nah, man, we doing this," and that's what you do, man. Like I've seen you do this before. You're like, I don't give a shit if it takes me 6 months or 9 months of the bull. Like you're willing to get in the trench, and to get to the other side and produce these beautiful things. It's something I see
well,
you
thanks,
repeatedly
Mike.
do in your work. Yeah, of course, brother.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Mike.
it's something that I've really zeroed in about you, man. Is that you bring that work ethic to the development phase, and then make these very special things, as a result, and it's inspirational.
Well,
Um,
much
yeah, so
appreciated.
of course, man, of course, I really appreciate you joining us. Speaking of homies, we appreciate guys. We're taking just a minute to peep some sponsors here. These cats pitch in every month, and we've been doing this years now, and look at all the amazing things we've had the opportunity to document, and that I hope you guys have enjoyed. And it's because these companies that they saw the value in what we're doing, and they saw this vision of giving our industry this type of coverage that it deserves. Man, this is one of the craziest things people are doing right now on Earth, and like nobody was there to get it. And there were reasons for that, and we've overcome them, and these cats are helping me overcome the financial side of that reason. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate them. So yeah, we take just a minute at the beginning and the end, and show them some love. And yeah, if you guys ever deal with these companies, feel free to let them know you appreciate what they're doing here. So but yeah, let me send you on back to the homies. Mark, thank you again, man. I really do
Yeah,
appreciate you being here with us, man. The shop is looking extra green right now.
yeah. The
They're
shop is
yeah, they're all inside
yeah.
for
I got
winter.
yeah. They're
It's
all the
lovely in the
tree,
wintertime, yeah.
all the
Yeah, yeah.
trees.
Yeah, I
The
like the shop in the
banana.
winter. Very good. Yeah, how's that? Yeah, I remember when you picked up that banana and now it's thriving. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's still there. I knocked the top off it by
Uh,
accident when I was transporting it, and it came back. It
okay.
said, "I still want to be here." So
That's the
We
cool
got
thing
some
about
orchids coming
plants.
back in
got
soon.
orchids. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it, man. Plants,
yeah.
they're like people, man. Sometimes we get knocked down, but
That's
then
right.
they
We
grow,
come
they grow
back.
right back. And like, I don't know, maybe I'm getting carried away here, but like when I focus too much on my plants being perfect, like it doesn't, that's all crazy. Like the end result is what matters, and what the plant's working towards, and worrying about that little leaf curl or that little spot, or all these things they take away from achieving the plant's ultimate goal in life. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, man. We're going off the
I'm
deep end here.
I'm lucky if I don't kill them, by forgetting to water them. That's my
Yeah,
goal.
yeah. That's too far. That's
So
negligence, Mark. I don't know what to say.
I know. My kids, the stories they could tell.
Couldn't put
God.
them on watering systems, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. If it wasn't automated, I would really be screwed. So
Oh goodness. Hell yeah. Well, dude, thank you again for joining us, Carrie.
yeah,
Thank you again. Let's pin Carrie temporarily, because I need to seriously take a second to thank her for filming this, and
Thanks to
all
Mark for, yeah, thanks to Mark for agreeing to it. I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
it and it looked really cool, and
right. We were
he
talking
wanted as
about it.
many people to see it. So of course we thought, Torch Talk probably would like to see it, and Mike agreed, and
Hell
thank
yeah.
you.
Of course,
Yeah.
no, it's my
Thanks.
honor to share this stuff and to be able to have a good time with you guys. Man, I can't wait until we're all like chilling in Lincoln over a glass of wine or whatever.
Sounds
And
good.
yeah, man, that'll be great. All right, well, I think that we will go ahead and wrap it on up there. A huge thank you to everybody who has tuned in. We're
Yeah,
pre-recording
thanks,
this,
Mike.
so it's but thank you for tuning in tomorrow.
Tonight.
No, I really do. I appreciate everyone out there and everybody who's been part of this and kind of made this amazing thing happen. We're trying to hard charge in 2022. We came
All
out the
right.
gate strong, I think, with that Glass Vegas special. And we're hitting it. we're not going to be live every week, but I really want to make this a very special year for what we do here and sharing this awesome medium that we all create within. So hell yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Send
Well,
it
really
off to the
appreciate it,
dogs.
Mike. Appreciate
Oh.
what you do.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It really is. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I really can't believe this unique spot I've landed in this universe. But it's all because of all these. I'm like a conduit for the kindness of this community. It's what it is. You know, I do my own demos and this and that, but the most of it is I'm getting to share this because somebody like you said, I think it would be cool if a lot of people got to see this. So that really means a lot. I really appreciate you guys. Hell yeah. I'm going to let y'all have the last word. Good night.
All right.
Thanks again, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Carrie, for the great filming.
Hell yeah. All right, y'all.
Bye.
Peace.
Night.
All right. Good night.